Hello students, in this session of chapter number 13, that is organisms and populations, we are going to learn the next topic, that is population interactions. Now you know that population means it is a group of organisms belonging to the same species or similar kind of organism form a species. Similarly, in a particular habitat, we see that there are different species. We cannot find a single habitat where only one species is observed. So, habitat shows variety of species. Now, the organisms or the species are dependent on other species, or they have interactions with other species. For example, plant cannot grow alone without soil organisms. You know that soil organisms are useful to decompose organic matter and to release nutrients in the soil. So plants require nutrients for their proper growth and development. So plants need the help of these organisms. So species are generally dependent, or the organisms are dependent on other organisms in different ways. Similarly, you know that flowers are dependent on either birds or either insects for the process of pollination. Similarly, the birds are dependent on the flowers to get nectar, which is used as food material by these insects or birds. So, organisms in a habitat have interactions with each other. So, here we are going to see the topic, that is population interactions. So, there are two types of interactions found in the organisms. The first one is called as intraspecific interaction. Now, intraspecific means the organisms which interact with each other belong to the same species. Now, you know that species is the smallest unit of classification in which the organisms show similar morphological as well as reproductive characters, or they interbreed among themselves. So, when there is interaction between the organisms belonging to same species is called as intraspecific interaction. Then when there is interaction between the organisms belonging to different species is called as interspecific interaction. So we are going to learn the different types of interactions between the population. Then we will see the first type of interaction called as mutualism. Now mutualism is found in the two organisms belonging to different species. Now in mutualism, both the organisms belonging to different species are benefited. Now for example, lichens. Now in 11th standard you have learnt regarding lichens. Now lichens are produced by the association of cyanobacteria or algae and a fungus. So the cyanobacteria or algae and fungus come together and form a common structure called as lichen. Now in this association, the fungus or the fungal partner absorbs water and minerals and provide it to the algae, while in return algae will provide food material to the fungal partner. So in this association, as both the organisms belonging to different species are benefited, the interaction between these organisms is called as mutualism. So mutualism is obligatory and interdependent interaction Now another example is of pollination and seed dispersal. Now you know that plants produce edible pollen grains, then they produce nectar. So these pollen grains and nectar is used as food material by certain birds as well as insects, and these birds and insects visit to the flower for pollen grains and nectar, and when they visit to the flower, the pollen grains get attached to the parts of these birds or insects, and then they are pollinated or transferred to the stigma of the flower of another plant. So in this association, both birds as well as the flowers or the plants are benefited. Then plants produce fruits, and fruits contain seed. So different animals which feed on the fruits help to carry the seeds to different places, and this mechanism of transferring of seed from one place to another place is called as seed dispersal mechanism, and it is carried with the help of animals. So such type of association is called as mutualism. Then mutualism is also observed in the association of two animals. Then we will see the next population interaction, that is competition. Now competition is a process in which the fitness of one species is significantly lowered in the presence of another species. That means when some organisms are competing for the same resource, then the organisms which are powerful will compete with the more weak organisms and get their food. So competition is a process in which the fitness of one species is significantly lowered in the presence of another species. Now competition is of two types, that is interspecific competition and intraspecific competition. Now interspecific competition is found in the organisms belonging to different species. For example, leopard and lion. You know that leopard and lion are carnivorous animals, and they feed on different herbivorous animals. So these animals, that is lion and leopard, compete with each other for the same prey. Now the Gauss competitive exclusion principle states that the two closely related species competing for the same resources cannot coexist indefinitely, and the competitively inferior one will be eliminated eventually. That means when two organisms which are closely related, when they are competing for the same resources, then the superior will eliminate the inferior. Similarly, another example of interspecific competition is when herbivorous animals like sheep and cow, when they feed in the same field or when they graze in the same land, they show interspecific competition. Now the second type is intraspecific competition. That means when the organisms belonging to the same species compete for the same resource or food, show intraspecific competition. Now intraspecific competition may be found in, for example, two dogs fighting for the same food. So such competition is called as intraspecific competition. Then we will see the next population interaction, that is parasitism. Now parasitism is an association between two organisms in which one organism is benefited and another one is harmed. So in parasitism, the organism which is called as parasite obtains nutrient from another living organism that is called as host. So in this association only one organism is benefited. Then parasitism is found in plants as well as higher vertebrates. Then parasites are host specific, that means they will be found in a particular host only, hence they are called as host specific. Then they show the process of co-evolution, that means the host as well as parasite co-evolve. Then some parasites need vector for their transmission to a suitable host. For example, Plasmodium uses mosquito as a vector for its transfer to a suitable host. Then parasites obtain nutrients from the host and they will harm the host, and in certain cases the host may die. So parasites are harmful organisms. Then parasites may be ectoparasites. Ectoparasites means they are feeding or they are found on the external surface of the host. For example, lice is found on humans, then ticks are found on dogs. So these are called as ectoparasites as they feed on the external surface of the host. Then some are endoparasites. Now endoparasites are found in the tissue or in the body of certain animals. For example, hookworm. Hookworm is a type of endoparasite. Similarly, there are also parasitic plants. For example, Cuscuta. Now Cuscuta is a plant which show absence of leaves as well as it show absence of chlorophyll. So hence Cuscuta cannot produce its own food material and it absorbs nutrients by producing sucking roots from the host plant. So in this association the Cuscuta plant is benefited as it gets nutrients from the host plant and the host plant is harmed. Similarly, another example of parasitism is called as brood parasitism. Now brood parasitism means it is a type of parasitic behavior shown by the bird called as Asian quail. Now this quail lays its egg in the nest of the crow. Now crow acts as the host bird and incubate the eggs of the quail. The eggs of quail show resemblance or they are similar to that of the eggs of the crow in size as well as in color. Hence the crow cannot distinguish between its eggs and quail's eggs. So this reduces the chances of the crow detecting the quail's eggs and removing them from the nest. Then eggs of the quail hatch before the eggs of the crow or the host's egg, and the crow feeds the young ones of the quail as if it is its own young ones. Hence the parasitic bird, that is quail, is in advantage. So such a type of parasitism is called as brood parasitism. So here we have seen the population interaction, that is parasitism. Then we will see the next population interaction, that is predation. Now predation involves, or it is a phenomenon in which an organism feeds on other organism. For example, when we think about predator, we immediately come to notice tiger as a predator and deer as its prey. Similarly, the grazers or the herbivorous animals which feed on the plants are not much different than these predators. Then the role of predators is important in the environment, as the predators keep the prey population under control. So these predators also maintain species diversity in the community. Now the predators check or they control the growth of prey, as well as they maintain the diversity between the organisms found in the environment. Now you know that diversity means different types of organisms are found in the different regions. Then the control pest species. Now the control of pest species means some of the predators are used as biocontrol agents. That means, for example, a frog controls the insect locust. So to maintain the population of the prey in an ecosystem, predators play an important role. Then if predator overexploits prey, that means when the organisms feeding on other organisms overexploits or overuses these prey, then a time will come that all the prey population will vanish or it will extinct. And also when the prey will extinct, the predator would not have any organism to feed, and finally the predator will also extinct. So to keep this proper proportion between predator and prey, the predators are prudent. Prudent means they wisely use their prey whenever they are needed only. So in this way, the extinction of prey as well as extinction of predator is avoided. So predator play an important role in an ecosystem or in the nature to maintain the diversity between different kinds of organisms. Then prey species show certain defense mechanisms to protect themselves from the predators. Now some preys show camouflage. Now camouflage means their color is according to the environmental conditions, so that they cannot be easily detected by the predators. Similarly, they have faster speed to escape from the predators. For example, you know that different kinds of deer have high speed. So such types of mechanisms are developed in the prey to escape their predators. Then the preys show cryptic coloration. Now cryptic coloration means the organisms or the preys can change their colors so that they cannot be detected by the predators. So different kinds of insects show presence of or can develop cryptic coloration. Then some preys show bad taste due to accumulation of different chemical substances in their body. For example, monarch butterfly. Here in this diagram we can see the monarch butterfly. So this monarch butterfly, when it is in caterpillar stage, feeds on poisonous weeds and stores the chemical in the body. So when the predator come in contact with this monarch butterfly, they taste bad to them. So due to this, the predators can be keep out of such prey. So preys developed certain types of defense mechanism to protect themselves from the predators. Similarly, for plants, the herbivorous animals, or they are called as grazers, are like predators. So to protect themselves from these herbivorous animals, the plant develops certain morphological as well as chemical defense mechanism against these grazing animals. Now, some morphological defense mechanisms developed include thorns. Now you know that thorns are developed in certain cactus plants. Then they are developed in plants like acacia, or in Marathi it is called as babul. So due to the presence of these thorns, these plants are protected from the herbivorous or grazing animals. Similarly, certain plants store toxic or harmful chemicals in them. For example, calotropis. Calotropis shows presence of a white color harmful chemical which contains cardiac glycosides, which are poisonous to the herbivorous animals. So certain types of harmful or toxic chemicals are produced by the plants to protect themselves against these grazing animals. Similarly, plants also produce certain secondary metabolites like nicotine, then caffeine, quinine, opium, to protect themselves against the grazing or herbivorous animals. So here we have seen the population interaction, that is predation. Then we will see the next population interaction, that is commensalism. Now in commensalism, the interaction between two species or two different organisms, in which one species or one organism is benefited and the another one is neither benefited nor it is harmed. So such association is called as commensalism. Now for example, a orchid plant or a epiphytic orchid which grows on the branches of large trees, it grows on these branches only for support and it does not get any nutrients or anything from the host plant. It only remains on the branches of the trees only for support. So in this association, the epiphytic is or the epiphytic orchid is benefited, while the tree is neither benefited nor it is harmed. Such association is called as commensalism. Then another one example is a bird called as cattle egret, or it is a white bird. बगळ्याची एक जात आहे. So this cattle egret is insectivorous bird and which remain close to the grazing cattle. So when the cattle moves along the grass, the insects are exposed due to the movement of these cattle, or they are flushed out, and these cattle egret can easily notice or observe them and can use them as food material. So these cattle egret remain in close vicinity or in close to the cattle only to get these insects, while these birds are benefited and the cattle are neither benefited nor they are harmed. In this diagram we can see the bird cattle egret and cattle. Cattle are grazing in the grass while the cattle egret are seen near to that cattle. Then the second example is of sea anemone. So in this diagram we can see the sea anemone which is shown in green color, and it has tentacles on which there are stinging cells. So the stinging cells are present on this tentacles, and the fish called clownfish remain close or remain with this sea anemone, and they are protected from the predators, as the predators are aware of the stinging cells of this sea anemone. So in this association clownfish are benefited while sea anemone is neither benefited nor harmed. So such type of association is called as commensalism. So here we have completed the chapter number 13, that is organisms and populations.